Okay. So, looking at the first section, guys, I'm talking. I need you to stop talking, please. Stop the talking. Stop talking. So, from this section, the first section you have here is dealing with parallel lines with transversals. So, anything that you are questioning about the bullets, Charles? Identify angle pair relationships. Okay, with or without a picture?
I just don't know what it means. Big words. I'm sure, like, once you point it out, I'll know what it is.
Okay, so basically, if you, most of them are dealing with, and I think I could do it this way too. Hopefully it'll work. So if you, number one on your review is a problem like that, where you have to, okay, so after you draw it, the angles, what type of pairs you would have. Okay, so that's identify angle pairs. What was it, Kosi? What's your question?
The last two.
Congruent versus supplementary? These two. Algebraic. Okay, algebraic. So the algebraic on your review would start with number 12. So I need everyone go to number 12 and 13. 12, 13, and 18 are your algebraic reasoning, okay, with angle pairs. I need to talk about this because I need to tell you how it will be on the test in regards to your answer choices or things you need to do. So on number 12, no picture is given. So you need to draw your two parallel lines. And then we have angle lines A and B with the transversal. And then we need to label the angles 1 and 2 as same side interior. Okay, same side interior, 1 and 2. So you have to know that angle pair and its relationship. So what do you know about same side interior? They equal 180. They're supplementary. All right, so angle 1 plus angle 2 is going to equal 180. So what you're going to be expected to do is identify the relationship. Use the relationship to write an equation and then solve. I want everyone to do number 12 right now if you have not done so. If you're done, check with the people in your group. Okay, check with the ones in your group to see if you get the same value for x, because this is definitely on the test. Okay, anyone have the simplified equation? Like, once you put it in and then simplify it. Yeah, 6x minus 7.5 equals, that's what we should get to. All right, so x equals what? Yeah, 42.5. Okay, so I wanted you to just see that you can get decimal answers. It's all right. This will be, if it's not a multiple choice question, it's griddable. So you will be expected to grid in 42.5 on your 6 weeks exam. Yes. It's based on what's given into your expression. So this is linear because we don't have an x squared. Okay, there's just one x. Okay. Number 13. Okay. 13, we're going to do this one because I want to tell you about how it's going to change. So I asked you yesterday to put that these were corresponding angles. So that means that angle 4 is going to be congruent to angle 8. This is a quadratic, so that was one of the things that it's a comparison. One would be linear, one would be quadratic. See if you can set up the quadratic so it's in standard form, meaning it has to equal to 0. It has to do that first before you can do your factoring. Okay, now, if you're done with this, here's the next part. Here's how they're going to ask you on your test. They're going to not always ask for the value x. They're going to say, find, yes, the measure of angle 8. So, if you're done with the x part, see if you can get the right angle measure part. So, we plus our regular substitution, we start here, x squared minus 8 equals 4x plus 4. But then we have to get it to standard form. Who knows how to do the next part? Or what should I do next? Yeah, we can move this over and do the opposite. So when I simplify, I hope we got... Yeah, minus equals 0. So now that it's in standard form, now we're ready to factor. So we got to come up with factors of a negative 12 with the sum of negative 4. Yeah, so x minus 6, x plus 2. So x equals positive 6 or negative 2. Okay, so that would be our values for x. But on your test, we'll ask for the measure of the angle. So Kosi asked, how do we know which one to use? Positive one should always work, but you plug it in, you can't have a non-reasonable answer. So if I plug 6 in, this would be 4 times 6 plus 4, or I did 4 times negative 2 plus 4. This would give me negative 4. This is not possible. It's a solution, but it's not a real solution for angle measures. Does that make sense? Yeah, because it's negative. Okay? All right, so with that being said, you have one very similar to that with number 18. So if you did number 12 by yourself or with me, check yourself. I like to say check yourself before you wreck yourself. Check yourself right now before you wreck yourself on the test. You need to check for understanding now, not later. Okay, so that covered algebraic reasoning, congruent versus supplementary. So any more questions about parallel lines and transversal? All right, so let's go to the next one. Writing equations of lines. You have 5 questions on this. Anything of this section that you have a question about? Yeah, you'll get to use the formula chart. The first point. I always use the first point. Okay. All right, so are we good with determining parallel, coincide? Guys, coincide. On your notes on page, I think it's where it says number 24. I think it's 24. Yeah, or 27, sorry. Right here. If it coincides, it's the same slope and same y-intercept. It's the exact same equation, which means it will be the exact same line. Okay? Exact same thing, yes. Also, I know it's not on here, but make sure you know what perpendicular. Perpendicular means you have opposite reciprocal slopes. Okay? So think flip change for some of you. Okay, so on this section, let me tell you about how you're going to be tested on each type. Questions will be in standard form. That is ax plus by equals c. Okay? You might want to copy that down. I'll show you an example how the question, one of them will be in standard form, one will be in a different form. To find the slope in standard form, you have 2 options. You can solve for y. It's not going to ask you to do that. You have to know. Or some of you are real good in this class to do negative a over b. Okay? So that will give you your slope as well. So you'll have one question requiring you to do both of these things. Okay? And you'll have one question asking you to use the slope formula. Your slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm not asking you to memorize the formula. Just know when to use it, where it is on the formula chart. Okay, that's when you have 2 points. You have the slope-intercept formula, y equals mx plus b. Make sure you know that m represents the slope, b represents the y-intercept. Okay. And then you're going to be asked to use point slope form to problem solve. M parentheses x minus x1. To change it, you will need to distribute and solve for y, which is what you did on the last 2 tests. Okay? So these forms, the slope formula, slope-intercept form, point slope form, and standard form are on your formula chart. This how to solve for y is not. You have to know that on your own. So, for example, number 27 is a test-like question. Determine if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or coincide. So, I have two equations. The first equation, do you know the slope? Could you just read it and figure it out? What is it? Yeah, it's right there. So, first one, we have negative 2/3. Then I look at the second equation, which is x plus 2y equals 6. I don't care which form or which method you use, but you have to give me that m. Okay? So, try to see if you can figure out what the slope is if the equation is in standard form. Yep, it's 3/2. All right, so then you get the two slopes and you compare them. Yep, these are opposite reciprocals. So that means that the lines are perpendicular. And that's what you will have to determine. Okay? So on your test, though, I think I had you circle 29 and 30. Both equations on your test will be in standard form. Okay, so if you did not do 29, I want you to try it now. And check with your group. Check 2 before me, please. All right, Rahel, what'd you get for 29? Okay, how did you know that? Okay. So the slope was 4 for the first one. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's right, because they're opposite reciprocals. All right. 30. Obi, what'd you get? Parallel. Yeah. How'd you know that? What was the same about them? This was 2/3. And this one was 2/3. Yeah. Okay. How'd you get 2/5 then? Guys, this is my concern. Is that some of you do not utilize the time that I'm giving you to check your understanding now in class. You just wait for me to put the answers up there. And I don't know if you're thinking we're going to check it after you do it at home. This is the time to get clarification. You should just be reinforcing what we're doing tonight. We should not be cramming. We should not be doing a lot of problems. We should be just doing a couple of the problems that you see on the blueprint, a couple of the problems that you see from that I asked you to circle. You should look at old tests and just say, okay, this one is dealing with parallel lines. Let me try to do this problem. Okay? Now, the other section with equations. Determining parallel lines. Slope formula, I don't think we have issues with that. Midpoint formula. Using the midpoint formula, do you need to go over that? Okay, determine, oh, we already did that one. Changing to point slope form to slope intercept form. Do we have questions on that one? Anything else with writing equations of lines that you want an example or want help with? We're gonna move on. All right, last section is proving congruent triangles. There's only 3 questions on this. Okay, there's one of each type, or you're gonna have one question asking you to complete a congruency statement. Okay, so that would be number 24 on your review. Okay, 24 on your review. All right, so if it's in a congruency statement, we're going to have to see that symbol. Everyone agree with that? That basic part? Okay, so basically we use congruency statements with triangles, and we just match or make sure the markings in each triangle go together. All right, so I'm going to start with this right triangle over here. So I'm going to start with triangle X, Y, U. That's the right triangle on the left. Which other triangle is congruent to XYU, and you have to mark. Yeah, we have to. So it's WZV. Yes, you have to use the same markings. If this has 3 arcs, then I have to start with W because it has 3 arcs. If I go to the box, then I have to go to this box, okay? So there was one right there. So let's pick another one. Where do you see another triangle? Yeah, okay, YUT. YUT is congruent because that's an isosceles triangle. Congruent to Z, V, T. Okay? So you're picking the triangles that are congruent to each other. All right, there's one more, and this is the one I'm putting in red because this is the one I want to focus on. Because you're going to see it looking like this on the test. All right, so I heard Z, V, U. That is this triangle here. Right there. ZVU is congruent to YUV. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because on the test, the triangles are going to overlap. I do need y'all to pay attention. We're going to do another one that shows this. On your test, the triangles are going to overlap. Okay, so since I started with the 4 arcs, that told me I have to start with Y. And since I went to here, so we got YUV, right? All right. When they overlap, do you see how there's red and blue here? Okay, this is what we call a common side. Okay, your triangle, one of your triangles, I believe, on your test will overlap, and you have to identify the common side to use some reasoning. Okay? Now, the way it would look, or the way you would do the problem, would be 21. 21 is an example of that. Okay? So, here's how you could break it down. I'm going to write a little side note. You might want to write this down. When you have overlapping triangles, you need to redraw them.
Yeah, I draw them below like separate.
Yeah, redraw and label them and separate them. And your hint is they'll always give you one triangle, your starting point, the triangle to look at first. The triangle they give us first is KRS. So I'm just going to redraw that triangle and label it. We got KRS. So redraw your triangle, label it. Always start with the triangle that they give you. Well, after looking at the triangle, what other triangle do you see in the figure that could be similar or S, R, and then who? M. Okay, there it is right there. So I would draw that triangle. There's an M, there's the R, there's the S. Okay? All right, do you see the overlapping side? Yeah, right there. That's your overlapping side.
So would that be a side?
Yeah, it's a common side. Okay? So, whenever you're proving congruent triangles, and I'll write this down too. I'm trying to think where I have. Okay. When you're proving, the first thing you always do is you mark the given. Okay? This was our given. KS is congruent to MR. KSR, or angle KSR, is congruent to angle MRS. So we mark the given. Then, yeah, talk about that. Yep. The second part will be you will mark your known facts. Okay, the first known fact you should always look for is that common side, or what we call a share side. The second one you look for is vertical angles. And the third one you look for are alternate interior angles, and that's only with parallel lines. Now, on your test, you're going to have one that's just talking about the common side, okay? This is the one we have. Here it is. There was our common side. The other one will combine. It will be vertical angles, and you'll have some alternate interior. So you just got to make sure we can see it. We'll practice it. But since we have a common side here, This is a side, an angle, and a side, side, angle, side. I have some students ask, how do you know how to set up the letters or what markings to use? They have to be consecutive markings. Meaning, I cannot go to this side and then come over here to this, like I'm going to go way around this way. No, there's no markings on going this way, going around to the left or whatever. So this is my side, angle, side. Then I just got to match up the letters. That's the congruency statement. If I say KSR, it's congruent to, or KR, excuse me. KRS is congruent to what? Yeah. MSR. Because it was given. Yeah, it was given. You would see that on, where is it at? I think it is on, oh, 51. Look at 50. We'll go to those. Okay, so look at 51. I'll show you where you'll see alternate interior. So on 51, because they tell me SU is parallel to KI, now that you have parallel lines, now I have alternate interior. So now that those are parallel, you see we have two transversals. We have KU as a transversal, so there's alternate interior. And then SI is a transversal. Yeah. All right, and then you're going to also have in this problem or in this picture, vertical angles. That's why I said you'll have two and one. You'll have two known facts. So you have alternate interior, and we have the angles are. And you have one pair per transversal. So this had two transversals. That's why I had two pairs. No. Angle, side, angle. We have an angle. We have that side and that angle. Because it's tick. It has tick marks. It has. That was given. Yeah. Yes, I could also say angle, angle, side. Yes. If I start with this angle. It is possible I have two. Tab 2? No. I mean, it won't be two at once. But you will have parallel lines. Yeah. It just.
Is that going to be like, since it has vertical angle, it's going to be like OAB is congruent to like that?
Yeah, since this is isosceles, this angle O, is congruent to angle T.
So, but like, yeah, I know that, but like, it says the vertex angle A.
Yeah, so that means that this is these sides, the legs meet. Oh, in here?
Yeah.
If I knew this is the altitude, but yes, it will. We haven't talked about that yet, but yes, it would. Okay. KIS. You have to show me. Okay, it's 25. That's what you're asking about. Yeah, I know what you, yes. It was like 25. Everyone look at 25. You have one of your bullets is saying, can you give the additional information needed to prove by a postulate? So mark your given. It's given that angle N is congruent to angle Y, so we put arcs there. And it's given that NO is congruent to YZ, tick marks. We're trying to use angle, side, angle. Right now I have an A and I have an S. I have an A, an angle, and an S. What is needed to have ASA? Yes. So you have to put we would need angle Z to be congruent to angle O. Huh? Yes.
The angles are congruent, then you can mark the side, the opposite side, right? So like,
Yes, you could.
if that would,
Yeah, this one worked, but yes, you could. Yes. Yeah, because that's a theorem. Yes. Okay. All right. So that you will have one problem where you have to give me the additional information that is needed to prove by a postulate, like ASA. The three open-ended. I'm trying to remember. I think one. I think there's one in each section. No, there's two in the parallel section, and I think one in the linear equation section, or writing equation section. Okay. All right. So 26. All right. So if there's no picture given, what are you gonna have to do? Okay. So let's draw one. M N O X Y Z. Any questions on that part? Switch what up? No, because it's in here. We're proving. Like if I want to put the letter, like change the order? Yeah. You could, but I want oops. I want the letters to match up because it says right here that triangle M and O is congruent to X, Y, Z. So I want my M to match up with my X. Okay, all right, so it also tells me that MN is perpendicular to NO. So how would I show that in the triangle? Yeah, so where would I put the right angle? Right, yeah, at the end, yeah. All right, so we're going to do the same thing for the Y. And now we're going to show that angle Z, yep, is congruent to O. So what type of triangles do we have here?
Right triangle.
Okay, so if I have right triangles, how many letters or how many parts do I need to prove? Just two. All right, so right now I have an A. We are trying to use LA. We need a leg, that's right. Yep, I can use either one. So give me one I could use. I could do MN congruent to who? Yeah, so the one I could show is MN is congruent. The other part, XY. Or I could do NO. Yeah, NO is congruent to YZ. Yes. Okay, either one works.